Hi guys, it's Mishel, Deception Bytes, and it is September 10th, and it's 7:22 p.m. Eastern Time. And I hope everyone is doing well this evening. It has been an extremely depressing day here. We're getting the tail end, I guess, the remnants of the tropical depression, Gordon. And I don't like Gordon very much. Just rain and drizzle and darkness and very depressing. Now I know why they call it a depression. Even the cats are depressed. They're just laying around like big fat lumps on the carpet. Well, actually, they do that every day, but they're lumpier than usual. Okay, well, we're going to pick up where we left off from in the last video. Q has been posting today, and I actually thought he was done posting, and I took a little bit of a break, and I came back, and there was like 350,000 more. Okay, I'm exaggerating. There was 18, but still. Anyway, here we go. We're going to get started, and I don't think that, well, I always say that. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Your guess is as good as mine. All right, the first vote, Q put in a picture here of a button that says your vote counts. And it does. It really, really does. And Q says, we will do our job to protect the vote. Will you do yours? Fight, 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 Q. Now, it is extremely important to vote. Extremely important. In fact, if you are in an area and you know that there are elderly people that may have a hard time getting out to vote, you might want to, if you have the time or inclination, volunteer to take them to the polls, whatever it takes. It is. I think that this is one of the most important votes ever. I really do. I think really people are waking up at such an alarming pace right now that, I really think that we'll be okay, but I don't think that we can ever just assume that and say, oh, well, it'll be fine. I don't need to vote. No, your vote counts. So, especially now that the voting isn't being tampered with. So, well, maybe in California. And I'm not going to touch on that here, but there is something about that I'll get to if I may make a video later tonight with Q-related news. I may not, but I'll save it for the next Q-related news video. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, and Q says, and he's making reference to an earlier post of his from December 1st, 2017. So that was a little bit ago. And it says Saudi Arabia controlled U.S. puppets, strings cut, Democrats dropping all around over sexual misconduct. First stage. So this was in December, and he's saying that that Saudi Arabia controlled. This was right after all the Saudi Arabia stuff went down, and he's saying that Saudi Arabia controlled U.S. puppets. We know now who some of those puppets are and were, and strings have been cut. Democrats dropping all around over sexual misconduct, and he's saying that's the first stage. Coincidence directly after Saudi Arabia? Well, no, it wasn't a coincidence because Saudi Arabia was directly tied to all sorts of, trafficking and so forth. Don't you realize the war has gone public? Oh, it sure has. List who will not be running for re-election. Well, we've visited that many, many, many times, and I don't think we need to go back and visit that. We know there is a slew of people, both Republican and Democrat, that are not running for re-election. And Q says, coincidence? Phase 1. So probably a lot of those people that, were not running, the first slew of people that we found out would not be running for re-election, that was probably over sexual misconduct, according to Q. And it says coincidence, phase 1. And phase 1, of course, was cleaning up Saudi Arabia and, that mess over there. And he said, phase 1, Easy to swallow. Loss of power, influence. Good time to prosecute. Just wait until next week. You are all patriots. Q. Now, referring to that, Q adds, now on September 10th, he adds, why are powerful, and he puts in brackets, influential, and bolded it. Why are powerful, read influential, people resigning due to past sexual misconduct allegations? Why are these allegations now surfacing? 10-month span? Yeah, it's been a 10-month span, and there's allegations now arising. They have been arising all along, but they're still coming to the surface. Why now? And Q says human trafficking arrests up. Yeah, hugely up. In fact, if you look at the human trafficking bus for the prior presidents and then look at the bus under President Trump, it's absolutely staggering to the imagination, really. Like, because it makes me think, okay, couldn't this have been happening all along? Of course it could. Anyway, he says human trafficking arrests up. Yes. Saudi Arabia cooperating. Now, I think this is Saudi Arabia here because he's talking about Saudi Arabia up here. So I would imagine that he's asking Saudi Arabia cooperating. And I think the answer would be yes, because Q asks questions, but he really is making them as statements. So he's telling us human trafficking arrests are up and Saudi Arabia is cooperating. And then he tells us why there are so many influential people resigning. Nexium. Oh. Now, Nexium was a lot bigger than I think any of us realize. And obviously, those that have been, I guess they were arrested, are talking because it says, when does a bird sing? Eyes wide open. And I'll tell you something else, and I really want to look into this, but it frightens me a little bit. There is an area near where I live where, and I would love to know if it's connected, because there were Seagram's trucks rolling in all hours of the night into a very small town, and it would pull right off the 401. Now the 401 is in Ontario is the big, I guess you would, well, I'm used to calling them interstates. It's a highway, but anyway, it's right off the 401, and the 401, of course, goes through, Toronto and all the big population areas. So it's interesting because the truck would pull off the 401 and then have to go down this really, really country road that is, you wouldn't even know the place was there unless you knew the place was there. And I wouldn't have known, except somebody mentioned it to me that they thought it was odd because they lived right near it. So anyway, I think Nexium has a lot more tentacles than any of us realize. And I think that we may be finding out for a very long time once all this stuff starts, being prosecuted. We may find out that it's a lot bigger than we ever thought. Anyway, okay. Then Q gives us a link here, and then he says, coincidence, network being dismantled, sheep no more, Q. And yes, that's exactly what's happening. The network is being dismantled. Little by little, the network is being dismantled. And what's happening is they're busting people, and those people are talking. So they get to more and more and more people. So there's probably been, anyway, I won't get into all that. Let me take us out here to the to the link here, and this is, it's from the White House, and it says fact sheets. President Donald J. Trump is working to end human trafficking. Law and Justice, issued on March 13th, 2018. My administration will focus on ending the absolutely horrific practice of human trafficking, and I am prepared to bring the full force and weight of our government, whatever we can do, in order to solve this horrific problem. President Donald J. Trump. Human trafficking is an affront to human dignity. With millions affected worldwide, human trafficking is a global atrocity that deprives millions of their universal human rights. Human trafficking, also known as modern slavery, affects people from all backgrounds at home and abroad, placing millions into a sickening form of exploitation. Per the International Labor Organization, there may be as many as 24.9 million victims of forced labor across the world, with millions going unidentified and unseen. Children are especially vulnerable to this evil practice, as they account for 25% of modern slaves. Victims are compelled to perform labor or commercial sex acts through the use of fraud, force, or coercion, reducing the value of human lives to that of mere commodities. The United States is a source, transit, and destination country for men, women, and children, both United States citizens and foreign nationals victimized by human trafficking. In FY 217, DHS's immigration and in fiscal year 2017, DHS's Immigration and Customs Enforcement Homeland Security investigation initiated 833 human trafficking cases, resulting in 1,602 arrests and 578 convictions, and identified 518 victims of human trafficking. The HHS funded National Human Trafficking Hotline received reports of 8,686 unique cases of potential trafficking in fiscal year 2017, identifying 21,644 potential victims. Annual illicit profits from human trafficking were estimated to be as high as $150 billion in 2014, demonstrating the substantial economic scale of this abhorrent criminal industry. Protecting the innocent. President Donald J. Trump is taking a stand against human trafficking, dedicating our government's full resources towards fighting this repulsive crime. The president's interagency task force to monitor and combat trafficking in persons is working tirelessly to address all aspects of human trafficking. As defined by the Trafficking Victims Prevention Act, it is a policy of the United States government to address human trafficking via the 3 Ps: prosecution of traffickers, protection of victims, prevention of human trafficking. In March 2018, the president appointed 9 human trafficking survivors to serve on the U.S. Advisory Council on Human Trafficking for terms of 2 years. President Trump declared January 2018 National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. In December 2017, Ivanka Trump and Deputy Secretary of State Sullivan joined more than 20 world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly for a global call to end modern slavery and to announce the State Department's $25 million grant to the Global Fund to End Modern Slavery. In February 2017, the President signed Executive Order 13773, enforcing federal law with respect to transnational criminal organizations and preventing international trafficking. This order directed the United States government to identify, interdict, disrupt, and dismantle the transnational criminal organizations that engage in human trafficking. In light of the impending Senate vote on H.R. 1865, the FOSTA-SESTA legislative package designed to fight online sex trafficking, the Trump administration is hosting a roundtable on human trafficking to review and discuss the path forward on this critical issue. Now, did I have to read all that? No, I did not, but I wanted to because it's important that we know what's being done, and it's important that we know that our president is in fact working for us. and on our behalf, because this is something that affects, you may think, well, it doesn't affect me, but I think that I think it does in the long run. I really do, because the fact that there are people living that way, and of course we've heard all sorts of stories. We've probably watched movies, true life movies about it, all sorts of things. But I literally was astounded at the level of it. I really did not realize that it was at the level that it was. I knew it was a problem, but not like it is. I don't even know if any of us really understood how huge this is, because in my mind it was, well, who would do something like that to another human being? Well, apparently there's lots of people that for whom money reigns supreme. And yes, and I know people always misquote this. The Bible does not say that money is the root of all evil. It is the love of money that is the root of all evil. So if you love money, you will do whatever you have to do to get it. And that is what is evil. So the root of all evil, actually. All right, let's go back. And I see Q is out posting again. So there's going to have to be a follow-up to this. All right. And the next Q post says D-class of FISA will initiate the resignation, recusal, and or removal of Rod Rosenstein. So this is putting it as plain as plain can be. When that is declassified, it'll initiate the resignation, recusal, and or removal of Rod Rosenstein. D-class of FISA will initiate the awareness that all signers will be currently under investigation. And what he means there, he says will be, but he's saying they are currently under investigation. All signers will be, and then he said currently. They already are under investigation. D-class of FISA will factually demonstrate without argument the U.S. government under Hussein knowingly presented false evidence to the FISC, the court, in an effort to obtain legal U.S. intelligence umbrella surveillance of POTUS, identified target for the sole purpose of influencing the 2016 election of the presidency. Not Russia, but Hussein/Hillary Rodham Clinton projection. Yes, they were projecting onto Russia what they themselves were doing. Had nothing to do with Russia. And of course, what he's talking about here is once you've identified the target for the FISA warrant, and in this case it was Carter Page, well then you can also, under that same umbrella, extend that to POTUS. And that's what they were wanting to do, of course, because they wanted to ensure that Hillary Rodham Clinton won the election. And thank you, Lord, and I mean that sincerely, that she did not, because I don't know. I don't know. I can't even in my imagination go there and think where we'd be, because I don't think any of us could imagine the hell that we'd be in. But anyway, use of back channel surveillance spy insertion, body 1, 2, and 5 by UK/Australia primary activated under Director Brennan, Director Clapper, with presidential daily brief, regular updates, plus, get this, live streaming. Yeah, they weren't just spying on him. They were streaming it. What is wrong with these people? Really? Okay. So, yeah. So the presidential daily briefings, regular updates, plus live streaming. Wow. with White House, Hussein, non-oval, Situation Room, coordination, FISA, full, brings down the House, the White House. So the full FISA, and that is the document that they use to get the warrant, the FISA application that is taken to the court to get the warrant to spy. This is the Carter Page FISA we're talking about. And when that is fully redacted, Q is telling us it will bring down the House, the White House. Q. Well, bring it on. It's about time these people paid the penalty for their transgressions. All right, now the next Q post is a Twitter. It's a link to a Twitter, and we're going to go out and we're going to see that now. So here we go. And just 1 second here, because I've got it. All right.
That you're aware of that is coming out now. So is there other information that you're aware of that is coming out now that you can now maybe share with the audience that has been used by the previous administration to create this delusion of the Russian collusion story? Is there something that we're not aware of? Because there's so many actors in this, but it's always the same. It's always the same cast of characters. It starts with John Brennan. It goes to Hillary Clinton, to James Clapper, to Sally Yates, to Susan Rice, etc. James Comey, Robert Mueller, on and on and on. Is there anybody else that you think that we haven't heard about that's really sort of the linchpin that's central to all of this that's been going on, using this technology against its own citizenry?
Sure, Rosenstein. I mean, the indictment that Rosenstein put out was a fabrication based on a fabrication, another fabrication on top of it. I mean, we clearly could show from the forensics of the data from Guccifer 2 that in fact was a contrived set of data that was manufactured and manipulated. And we can also show that it couldn't be a hack because it was downloaded too fast to go across the Atlantic on the fiber optic lines for the worldwide network. It just didn't work. And we showed that and also demonstrated that it was tampered with in terms of breaking it into two files when in fact it was one. We could show that and show that therefore Lucifer 2.
So it says tonight on Your Voice, Steel Truth, at Ann Vandersteel continues to expose Deep State with an exclusive interview with Bill Biney, former technical director at the NSA. This is explosive reporting, folks. 8 Eastern Time on yourvoiceamerica.tv. So, Q wanted us to see that, and we are going to go back, get some of this shut down so we have a little bit more juice. Alrighty, let's go back. All right. So that was the status that Q wanted us to see. And then the next is Q making reference to his own post that we just looked at, this status that we just looked at. He making reference to this, tweets something of his own. And then he puts, and this is going to make sense because when I first read this, it didn't make sense to me until I got later on in the drops. Okay, so we've got 0 hours, 00 Q. Okay, and we've got this tweet by Trump. It's a Trump tweet. All right. Donald J. Trump. The storms in the Atlantic are very dangerous. We encourage anyone in the path of these storms to prepare themselves and to heed the warnings of state and local officials. The federal government is closely monitoring and ready to assist. We are with you. Now, I'm thinking there's a couple reasons here for this post. And one of them is I'm thinking that there's a double meaning with the storms, hitting the East Coast, because as we know, Washington, D.C. is on the East Coast, and it very much is already engulfed in a big old storm. So there's that, but we're going to move on, and it will make sense. It'll all come together. And I love it when a plan comes together. So, and this Twitter, I just went out and clipped this to save us a little bit of time. So, and the next Q post is also a link. So we're going to go out and take a look at this. And it's sarahcarter.com. New texts reveal FBI leaked information to the press to damage Trump. Well, we've known that for a while, right? We've known that for a long while. Representative Meadows sent a letter to Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein saying a review of the new documents raises grave concerns regarding an apparent systemic culture of media leaking by high-ranking officials at the FBI and DOJ related to ongoing investigations. Now, I'm not going to read this because I believe unless I'm, really out there, that we've read this book already. But at any rate, the part that Q wants us to be aware of is that the new texts reveal the FBI leaked information to the press to damage Trump, and we know that. We know that. Wow, look, 22 new tweets. I'm telling you, the guy's on fire. I just don't know. I've never seen anybody tweet that much or post that much. My gosh. So I guess there will have to be another video after this one. So anyway, let's get moving here because we've got a long way to go. Well, we don't really for this one, but the next one looks like it may be a monster. All right. Now, so that was Sarah Carter. Now, let's go up to the next one. And Q says, think DOJ, FBI, classified classified leaks to fake news. Insert into FISA application in effort to prove new sources. And we know this, right? We know that what they did is they leaked stuff to the news, and then they used that, what they leaked, as the source for the FISA document. That's really out there, but that's what they did. And it says number 198090718 today. Now, I'm not sure, insert into FISA application. I'm not sure why, what this is, number 198. Anyway, it says today, review of the new documents raises grave concerns regarding an apparent systemic culture of media leaking by high-ranking officials at the FBI and DOJ related to the ongoing investigations. And here, Q is linking to something different, and we're going to go out and take a look at that as well. And maybe this will make sense when we do that. Or maybe it won't. But let's hope it does. Now, this is to the Honorable, and I would have to argue about that title, but at any rate, Rod Rosenstein, Deputy Attorney General, United States Department of Justice, and Dear Mr. Rosenstein. And it's from Congress of the United States, House of Representatives, Mark Meadows, Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, Committee on Foreign Affairs, and I would guess that is all the committees that he is on, but this is who it is from. And let's, Dear Mr. Rosenstein, as you know, we recently received a new production of documents from the department providing greater insight into FBI and DOJ activity during the 2016 election and the early stages of the Trump administration. Our review of these new documents raises grave concerns regarding an apparent systemic culture of media leaking by high-ranking officials at the FBI and DOJ related to ongoing investigations. Review of these new documents suggests a coordinated effort on the part of the FBI and DOJ to release information in the public domain potentially harmful to President Donald Trump's administration. For example, the following text exchange should lead a reasonable person to question whether there was a sincere desire to investigate wrongdoing or to place derogatory information in the media to justify a continued probe. April 10th, 2017, Peter Strzok contacts Lisa Page to discuss a media leak strategy. A media leak strategy. I keep wanting to say link instead of leak. Media leak strategy. Specifically, the text says, I had literally just gone to find this phone to tell you I want to talk to you about media leak strategy with DOJ before you go. April 12, 2017. Peter Strzok congratulates Lisa Page on a job well done while referring to 2 derogatory articles about Carter Page. In the next text, Strzok warns Page 2 articles are coming out, one which is worse than the other about Lisa's namesake. Strzok added, well done, Page. While these 2 texts alone are troubling enough, events surrounding these interactions call the motives of the investigative team into question. For example, while Strzok and Page texted about media leaks on April 10th to 12th, 2017, during the same time frame as FBI and DOJ officials were having conversations with reporters, the Washington Post broke a story on the Carter Page FISA application on April 11th, 2017, setting off a flurry of articles suggesting connections between President Trump and Russia. Other documents indicate DOJ officials, specifically Andrew Weissman, participated in unauthorized conversations with the media during the same time period. Evidence suggests senior officials at the FBI and DOJ communicated with other news outlets beyond the Washington Post as well. During our interviews with Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, FBI attorneys consistently suggested witnesses could not answer questions due to the U.S. Attorney's manual policy for ongoing investigations. However, documents strongly suggest that these same witnesses discussed the ongoing investigations multiple times with individuals outside of the investigative team on a regular basis. Our task force continues to receive troubling evidence that the practice of coordinated media interactions continues to exist within the DOJ and FBI. While this activity may be authorized and not part of the inappropriate behavior highlighted above, it fails to advance the private march to justice and as such warrants your attention to end this practice. In light of the new information, our task force is requesting to review text messages, emails, and written communication from FBI and DOJ officials Stu Evans, Mike Cortan, and Joe Pienka between June 2016 to June 2017. To be clear, we are not suggesting wrongdoing on the part of Evans, Cortan, and Pienka. And in fact, previously reviewed documents suggest that some of these individuals may share the committee's same concern. However, these individual documents, with an emphasis on communication between the aforementioned individuals and Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, Lisa Page, Bruce Orr, and Andrew Weissman, would provide critical insight into the backdrop of the Russia investigation. Your attention to this matter is greatly appreciated. Sincerely, Mark Meadows, Member of Congress. The Honorable they gave a copy to, carbon copy to, although we don't have carbon copies anymore, they still put CC. The Honorable Bob Goodlatte, Chairman, Committee on the Judiciary. The Honorable Trey Gowdy, Chairman, Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. So that was a very interesting letter. And obviously, Sarah Carter is in possession of it and has released it. And we're glad about that. So, I am anyway. The more information we have, the better. All right, let's go back and let's go on. Alrighty. Now, here, Q is making reference to a post of his, actually from yesterday, where he said, Q, knowledge is power. He's making reference to his post from yesterday where he referenced an Anon's post and said, Q, knowledge is power, thanks and Godspeed. And to that, Q responded and said the following. Now, this is yesterday's post until we get down to here. How do you know when something very big is about to drop? Attacks increase from all directions. Ready the memes. FISA corruption. You have more than you know. Keep up the good fight. We stand together. Q. Now, Q, below that, has given us more examples, and we're not going to look at each one of these, but we are going to maybe just look at a few, but some of them we can tell what they have to say without even going out there to them. Maxine Water goes on Trump impeachment, Tear vows to get, okay, let's go out here. We're not going to read these. We're just interested in the headlines, basically. Maxine Waters goes on Trump impeachment tear, vows to get him. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, she should just have a face fight with him. She'd win. Like, face fight. Oh, you win. Okay, anyway. Let's go back. MSNBC, author believes multiple grounds for impeaching Trump. The Atlantic, Jerry Nadler, Trump Democrats impeachment. NBC News, Donald Trump, Dem leaders don't want say impeachment. I don't know. We're going to have to look at this one because it doesn't make sense. Shh. That's what it says. Shh. Dem leaders don't want to say impeach. Bill Clinton's case explains why. The top 3 Democratic leaders in the House, Representatives Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, and Jim Clyburn, were all there in 98. They were all there in 1898. Anyway, so there you go. Let's go back. And the Hill, impeachment will be at top of Democrats' agenda if they take the House. September, as Congresswoman chants impeachment 8 times, others point to coup in Trump admin. Yeah. And the Independent says, America's U.S. politics, Trump impeachment, Robert Mueller, Russia investigation, Bob Woodward, Richard Nixon, John Ehrlichman, whatever. Trump impeachment odds, September 7th. Donald Trump impeachment rally. Huffington Post. Opinion, Trump unfit for office. Bloomberg, market won't crash if Trump faces impeachment. The impeachment, Barclays says. USA Today, Trump attacks Sessions, justice impeachment fodder. Collins Hunter let's look at what this one is. Sometimes, you can tell exactly what the headline is and sometimes not. Oh, look at this. More than 1 million residents ordered to evacuate as Hurricane Florence rips towards East Coast. And please, if they tell you to evacuate, please evacuate. I will never ever go through another hurricane. Well, obviously, if I'm living here, I won't. But yeah, not fun. And if they tell you to evacuate and do it early, or you'll get caught in the parking lot. The roads become a parking lot once they start the counterflow and all that. The roads just become parking lots. Anyway, that's not what we're discussing. But I'm ADHD and the red, jumped out at me like a squirrel. So, Trump Twitter attack on Sessions and Justice is most serious impeachment fodder yet. Oh no. Oh no. Mean old Trump with his tweets. Okay, let's go back. And he ends at Q, as always. As if we had any doubt who it was. All right, and then this is referring to something that we're going to be seeing up here, I think. 342. Let me see. Trying to. 342. I'm not sure, but this I know he's referring to a graphic which we are going to be looking at in a second. So let's keep moving. And then Q makes reference to this Anon who says, "Buckle up, buttercups. It's about to get bumpy." You know what? I would love to hear Randy Quaid say that. Now, if you have not heard Randy Quaid perform Trump tweets, you've missed something because it's phenomenal. It really is, and they're so good. Anyway, I could just hear him saying that. "Buckle up, buttercups. It's about to get bumpy." And then you have the little salute here with the 07 is supposed to be a man saluting. And Q acknowledges this, that, yep, better buckle up. It's going to get bumpy. And then we have this. All right, let's look at this. We're almost finished here. I'll try to make this a little bit bigger. It's going to make it blurrier, but hopefully. All right, so Q is referencing this Anon. And this Anon put these 3 tweets together along with the tweet by Donald Trump. So this Anon, the first Anon says, "No POTUS tweets today yet." And this is at 13:15, which is 1:15 p.m. And so this Anon is saying, "No POTUS tweets today yet. Q, how about a 0 delta to encourage Anons?" Now remember when I said the 0 will make sense later on? That's why it was there. Now, so this is at 13:15, which is 1:15. At 14:35, Q makes this post about the Twitter account for the lady that was doing the news thing. Her last name's Steele. So he posts that like an hour and whatever later. And then Q here tweets the Twitter. Q makes reference to Donald Trump's Twitter, and then beneath puts 0:00 Q. So that was at 14:39, and it was after, this was 35, and then this was posted right next, and it was at 14:39, but this was posted an hour earlier, where this Anon asked, could POTUS, give us a 0 delta to encourage us Anons? And indeed, he did, because this, Q puts this, and then 0:00, and look here, this was at 12:35, about the storms in the Atlantic, and let me see now, something about the time difference here. That was 14:35, and this was 12:35, but the time zone difference between where Q was and Donald Trump is 2 hours different, and we're going to be seeing that in upcoming tweets, because it took me a little while to figure that out, what what it was actually, what they were saying. So, and then Q here, we are going to come back and visit this. Q here refers to this anon who says, battle stations ready, where we go one, we go all. And Q responds to this person and says, we are with you. I would assume that's what that means. WRWY. We are with you. Where we go one, we go all. Q. So he is agreeing. And here's Q. Graphics showing 2 time zones. Update requested 000Q. All right, so he's saying the graphics are showing two time zones. And then this one, it says Q is referring to this earlier that an anon posted. This has the storms, and it says Central Daylight Time 2:35:06 p.m. equals 3:35:06 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and oh, this is so small. And 0 delta equals 0 equals 00 equals 0:00 equals 0:00 :10. And what's this say? 1535 is 3. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So this is at 1535, which is 3:35. This Twitter that shows that the lady, the steel lady that we went out and looked at. So that Twitter was at 3:35, and so was this by Trump. This tweet was at the same time, and then this was at the same time as well. 13:30, I think, or 36. 1 minute later, he's got the 0.00Q. So it was like a proof, basically. They asked for a delta, they got it from, Q and the president. And then it says, gotcha, Q. And then, responding to that, Q says, anons, catch it all. 2 devices used. So 2 devices were used. 1 carrier. The messages were pushed exactly at the same time. 0.10 second variance. Device lag or feeder site delay. Request fulfilled. Q. So that anon asked for a delta to encourage the anons, and that was fulfilled. So Q's saying request was fulfilled. Q. More proof of Q. Just saying. Okay. Now, and this, Q is making reference to this anon, who is saying the linked post must be added to the graphic. Request fulfilled. Q. And then Q, is responding to this and says, make it and they will crumb. Q. Cute. Now, this is the last post. Oh, no, it's not. It's a second from the last post. And then we've got a whole slew of new Q posts to look at after this. Hopefully I'll get to those this evening. Now, here, Q is making reference to this anon who put this picture here that has Trump with, looks like a dove flying overhead, and it says God wins. And Q says that's perfect. Oh, no, that's not Q. Let me see. Who is this? This is an anon. Q is making reference to this anon, and this anon below says that's a perfect proof, guys. Request heard, delivered, no coincidence. Thanks for doing that, Q. And Q refers to this and says, we thank you. And then shills, only shill. Patriots win. Q. Yes, I agree, Q. Shills be shillin'. That's what they do. Shills be shillin'. All right. And here is the update that was requested. And I guess there's one more after that. And so this is updated with all the new times, etc. And it says updated to show the Anons post. And this is the original Anons post. All right. And here we go. And Q is making reference to this meme by an Anon, and it says, Band of Anons, made to look like the Band of Brothers movie poster thing. There was a time when the world asked ordinary men to do extraordinary things. Band of Anons. And beneath it, this Anon has says, we serve at the pleasure of the president. And Q responds to this and says, hoo-ah! I don't know. I can't do the how it's supposed to be said. And Q says, Oscar worthy? Q. So that's it for today. Now, I may be back with the second part of the post, but that is the first part of Q's post for today. And yeah, so I'll talk to you guys soon. I hope that you got something out of that anyway, and I will be back. Stay safe.